January 30th, 1943. Late morning. Berlin. A low winter sun hangs behind a veil of pale cloud, turning the city into a flat wash of gray stone and frost. The air is brittle, sharp enough to sting the lungs. Somewhere in the capital, loudspeakers crackle to life as Joseph Goebbels prepares to speak, his voice meant to echo triumph through the heart of the Reich. Flags hang stiff in the cold. Soldiers stamp their boots. Civilians pause on icy sidewalks. Everything is ordered, controlled, confident. Then, faint at first, comes a sound that does not belong. It is not the slow, heavy rumble Berliners have learned to dread after dark. This is something else. A thin, rising snarl, cutting cleanly through the winter air. It grows quickly, too quickly. Heads tilt upward. Search crews glance at one another, confused. The sound is already overhead, and then the bombs fall. Short, sharp detonations snap across the city, echoing off government buildings and parade grounds. Windows shatter. Masonry jumps. Smoke claws upward between rooftops. The speech stumbles, falters, vanishes beneath the concussion. In the heart of Nazi Germany, in broad daylight, enemy aircraft have arrived unannounced, and they are already gone. High above the city, slipping through the pale sky like ghosts, two de Havilland Mosquitoes are accelerating westward. Their engines scream at full power, propellers biting the air with a smooth, relentless fury. No escort, no formation, just speed, pure speed. Below them, Germany's air defenses are waking up too late. Flak batteries begin to bark, black bursts punching holes in the sky where the aircraft had been seconds earlier. Fighter control rooms scramble to make sense of the plots racing across their boards. Orders snap through headsets. Night fighter units trained, drilled, confident, are told to scramble anyway. Messerschmitt Bf-110s roll. Junkers 88s thunder down frozen runways. Somewhere, a pilot mutters disbelief as he pushes the throttles forward. They are chasing plywood. For years, Hermann Göring had promised the German people that no enemy aircraft would fly over the Reich. It was more than bravado. It was doctrine. Radar nets, flak belts. Interceptor squadrons, Germany, had built an air defense system designed to be impenetrable, and within the Luftwaffe, there was a particular contempt reserved for the British aircraft now streaking away from Berlin. The de Havilland Mosquito, built largely of wood, glue and spruce and plywood, shaped by furniture craftsmen rather than armorers, German pilots mocked it openly. A wooden toy, a bomber without defensive guns, a machine that, on paper, should have been helpless against experienced fighter aces flying some of the fastest aircraft in the world. But paper had just burned over Berlin. Inside a climbing Bf-110, a Luftwaffe pilot strains forward in his harness, eyes fixed on the shrinking dots ahead. He pushes the engines harder, watching temperatures climb into the red. The aircraft shudders slightly as he demands more than it wants to give. He is experienced, decorated. He has intercepted bombers before. Big ones, slow ones. This should be easy. The distance does not close. The Mosquito's Merlin engines sing as the aircraft surges ahead, climbing smoothly, almost casually. Its slim fuselage cuts through the air with none of the drag that burdens heavier bombers. No gun turrets to slow it. No armor plates weighing it down. Just speed, altitude, and a crew that knows exactly what their aircraft can do. In the German cockpit, frustration turns to disbelief. The speed indicator needle trembles near its limit. The Mosquito is still pulling away. On the ground, radar operators stare at fading blips. Controllers bark corrections that come seconds too late. Flak gunners fire until their barrels smoke, then stop, staring into an empty sky. Berlin's air raid sirens, meant to warn of long, grinding terror, wail uselessly after the danger is past. The city has been struck, humiliated, and abandoned by its defenders in less time than it takes to finish a speech. And this was not an accident. For the crews of RAF Bomber Command, the mission had been deliberate, precise, and audacious. Not to destroy factories, not to flatten neighborhoods, but to send a message written in shattered glass and interrupted propaganda, a message delivered by an aircraft the Luftwaffe had laughed at, back at their bases in England. Mosquito crews would land to find ground crews grinning, intelligence officers already hungry for details. They would describe the clear skies, the sudden flak, the way Berlin had seemed almost peaceful until the bombs fell, and above all, they would describe the pursuit that never materialized, the the fighters that tried and failed to catch them. Word spread quickly through German squadrons. Mess halls buzzed with angry debate. How could an unarmed bomber outrun frontline fighters? How could wood and glue defy aluminum and steel? Engineers pored over performance charts. Pilots demanded answers. Göring fumed. The Mosquito was not just slipping through Germany's defenses. It was exposing a crack in the Luftwaffe's pride. And worse still, it was only the beginning. Because if a handful of wooden aircraft could reach Berlin in daylight and escape untouched, the question hanging over every German airfield was terrifyingly simple. What else could they do? The shock ripples outward from Berlin like a pressure wave slamming into fighter bases across the Reich. In briefing rooms heavy with cigarette smoke and bruised pride, Luftwaffe pilots crowd around maps and chalkboards. Fingers jab at lines that should have intercepted the intruders. Voices rise. Someone laughs bitterly at the word Holz bomber, wooden bomber. No longer a joke, now a curse. On paper, the Mosquito still makes no sense. German intelligence officers lay out the facts with thinly disguised irritation. The aircraft carries no defensive guns, no armor worth mentioning. Its bomb load is modest, and yet its damn speed pushes past 400 miles an hour at altitude. Faster than the Bf-110 night fighter. Faster than a fully laden 4-190 in a climb. Close enough to the Bf-109 that interception requires everything to go exactly right, and nothing ever does. The next raids come without warning. Single aircraft pairs, sometimes three. They appear over Hamburg, over Cologne, over Essen, always in daylight, always fast. They hit Gestapo headquarters, power stations, radio transmitters, railway offices. Targets chosen less for destruction than for humiliation. A precision strike against confidence itself. Radar stations catch them briefly, like fish breaking the surface before vanishing. Controllers scramble fighters with a sense of déjà vu already turning sour. Pilots race into the sky, throttles wide, eyes scanning for shapes that are already slipping past. You can feel the strain in those cockpits. In a Messerschmitt climbing hard, the engine vibrates with a metallic urgency, every cylinder pushed to its limit. The pilot wipes sweat from his eyes despite the cold, jaw clenched, as he watches the Mosquito's silhouette ahead. It is there, clearly there, and yet unreachable. The distance remains cruelly constant, then slowly grows. Fuel gauges dip, temperatures climb. Discipline demands he break off before the engine fails or the tank runs dry. The Mosquito disappears into haze, untouched. Back on the ground, mechanics shake their heads at overheated engines. Commanders listen to reports that all sound the same. Sighted, chased, lost. The Luftwaffe had built its doctrine around control. Control of altitude, control of timing, control of engagement. The Mosquito ignores all of it. It does not wait for darkness. It does not lumber in with a formation that can be tracked and predicted. It arrives when it wants, strikes where it chooses, and leaves before anyone can react. Worse still, the British are learning. Each successful raid sharpens their confidence. Crews fly lower, then higher. They experiment with routes, with altitudes, with weather. They discover that the Mosquito's wooden construction gives it unexpected advantages. It absorbs damage without catastrophic failure. It does not trigger certain radar frequencies as clearly as metal aircraft, and when flak bursts nearby, the aircraft simply shrugs and accelerates away. In German fighter bases, frustration hardens into obsession. New tactics are proposed. Day fighters held at readiness, night fighters modified for speed. Special interceptor units discussed in urgent, angry tones. The Luftwaffe begins diverting resources, aircraft, fuel, experienced pilots to chase an enemy that refuses to be caught. And still, the Mosquitoes keep coming. One afternoon, a lone aircraft appears over Berlin again, cruising at altitude as if on a peacetime flight. It drops a small bomb load near government buildings and vanishes. No escort, no apology. Just the audacity of returning to the scene of the crime. The psychological effect is devastating. Civilians whisper. Officials bristle. Göring's earlier boasts echo back with cruel clarity. No enemy plane will fly over the Reich. Now they do, regularly, and they leave laughing. Inside the Luftwaffe's high command, the tone shifts. Mockery becomes fear, not fear of destruction, but fear of irrelevance. An air force built to dominate the skies finds itself reacting, always a step behind, always too slow. Pilots begin to respect the Mosquito in the way soldiers respect a dangerous opponent. They curse it, they envy it, Some secretly admire it. A machine that turns simplicity into supremacy, speed into survival. But admiration does not stop it. As 1943 wears on, the Mosquito's role expands. It marks targets for heavy bombers. It conducts reconnaissance flights deep into Germany, photographing factories and airfields with impunity. It acts as a pathfinder, a decoy, a disruptor. Every mission exploits the same brutal truth. The Luftwaffe cannot catch what it cannot reach. And every failed interception widens the gap, because somewhere in England, designers and commanders are already asking a dangerous question. If the Mosquito can do this alone, what happens when there are hundreds? The Luftwaffe senses the shift, but cannot stop it. The Reich's airspace, once sacred, now feels porous, vulnerable, watched, and the wooden aircraft, once dismissed as a joke, has become a measuring stick for failure. The gap they cannot close is no longer just one of speed. It is a gap in confidence, in control, in the belief that the skies above Germany still belong to Germany, and the Mosquito is flying straight through it. By late 1943, the sound is unmistakable. It is not the deep, grinding thunder of heavy bombers assembling over England, not the chaotic roar of massed formations. The sound is sharper, cleaner, a high, confident snarl that appears suddenly over German cities and vanishes just as fast. Civilians look up now with a different fear, not of endless destruction, but of helplessness. There is nothing to track, nothing to stop. Only the knowledge that the aircraft overhead has already won. The Mosquito has become a presence. Over Berlin, over the Ruhr, over occupied Europe, it flies reconnaissance missions so deep and so frequent that Luftwaffe intelligence officers stop pretending they can hide anything. Factories are photographed. Airfields are cataloged. Rail yards are mapped in meticulous detail. The Mosquito does not need to destroy these targets. It simply reveals them, and revelation in modern war is power. German pilots are ordered to intercept at any cost. They try everything: head-on attacks, high-altitude ambushes, pre-positioned fighters waiting along likely routes. Sometimes they glimpse the Mosquito's pale silhouette, sunlight glinting off its canopy. Sometimes they fire, tracers streaking uselessly behind a shape that refuses to slow. Most of the time they arrive too late, chasing the echo of an engine already fading into the distance. In one cockpit, a young Luftwaffe ace watches his fuel needle sink toward empty as he abandons yet another pursuit. His aircraft is fast. His training is elite. And none of it matters. He lands in silence, climbs out, and stares at his machine as if it has betrayed him. It is not the aircraft's fault. The Mosquito forces the Luftwaffe to confront an uncomfortable truth. Speed has replaced armor, and intelligence has replaced brute force. The future of air combat is unfolding above them, and it does not belong to Germany. As Allied bombing intensifies, Mosquitoes fly ahead of the main force, marking targets with flares that burn like wounds in the night sky. German night fighters focus on these markers, desperate to stop them, but the aircraft are gone before interception is even possible. The heavy bombers follow the glowing path, and cities burn. Sometimes the Mosquito does not mark targets at all. Sometimes it exists only to deceive. It drops spoof raids, false signals, single aircraft flying routes designed to trigger alarms and scramble fighters, dragging German defenses out of position while the real strike slips through elsewhere. Luftwaffe commanders tear their hair out trying to distinguish threat from illusion. Fuel is wasted. Engines are worn down. Pilots are exhausted chasing phantoms. The wooden aircraft is bleeding the Reich dry without firing a shot. And then there is Göring, once so confident, so theatrical, so certain of his Air Force's supremacy, now reduced to angry tirades and impossible demands. He orders faster fighters, radical designs, desperate solutions. The jet age looms on the horizon, but it comes too late and in too few numbers. The Mosquito has already rewritten the rules. By 1944, even German pilots admit it quietly among themselves. If they see a Mosquito, they let it go. There is no glory in chasing what cannot be caught. No honor in destroying engines for nothing. The aircraft becomes, in a bitter twist, one of the safest Allied planes to fly over Germany. Its crews know it too. Inside those cockpits, RAF pilots and navigators develop a calm confidence bordering on audacity. They fly deeper, lower, bolder. They trust the aircraft completely. They know that if they keep the throttles open and their discipline tight, nothing in the Luftwaffe can touch them. And usually, they are right. When the war finally begins to tilt decisively against Germany, the Mosquito remains everywhere. Over Normandy, over the Ardennes, over the collapsing Reich itself. It hunts V-weapon sites. It photographs retreating armies. It strikes command posts as German officers flee westward. Always fast, always precise, always untouchable. In the ruins of the Luftwaffe, officers will later admit what they could never say aloud during the war. They underestimated the Mosquito not because it was wooden, but because it was brilliant, a machine that embodied efficiency, adaptability, and ruthless clarity of purpose. Wood and glue had outflown steel in arrogance. When the war ends, historians will tally victories and losses, tonnage dropped and aircraft destroyed. The Mosquito's true achievement will be harder to measure. It shattered certainty. It broke promises. It proved that dominance in the air was not about size or intimidation, but about understanding what mattered most. Speed, precision, freedom. Over Berlin, once the sacred heart of the Reich, the Mosquito had flown exactly where it was not supposed to be, and no one had been able to stop it. The laughter of Luftwaffe aces had faded long before the engines did.